Hi, everybody. How are we doing? Another stream ready to go. Everyone, I see some usual suspects in the stream, so thank you for coming out. As always, I'm going to keep an eye on our chat. I've got it on another monitor. This is going to be a lot of fun again for us all. Oh, that's always fun when I'm doing this. My arm disappears. There you go. It's a magical mirror over here. Something happening. So thanks for everyone for joining us. We're going to be taking a look at ZBrushCore Mini. And specifically, I want to cover some things through Mini and also show you guys kind of how the idea of using Mini for sure in any ZBrush Core or ZBrush itself, right? It's about a creative process. And I really want to walk you guys through maybe a piece that I've made to kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be able to do in Mini. I think it's a great spot for anybody that's a creative person wanting to get into digital sculpting on a computer. Mini is a great way to jump in. So by the show of hands, how many people using Mini? Oh, from Ohio. Where in Ohio, JJ Motion Studio? I went to school in Ohio. And hello, everybody. Argentina. We got someone from Argentina here. Who's using Mini? Give me the emoji hand. Give me something. Give me something. So, and obviously what we're going to be looking at is an updated version of Mini. As you guys can tell from the graphic, there is now going to be a ZBrushCore Mini 2021. So of course, ZBrush Core itself is at 2021 and the full ZBrush is at 2021. So we're updating Mini. So there are some new additions to Mini as well that I'm going to be covering throughout this stream. It's good to see we got some hands going up, people that have been using Mini. That's great. Oh, you went to CCAD. All right. Columbus. I went to Bowling Green, so a little ways away, but close enough. Ohio's not huge. Great. Okay, so one thing that I want to actually touch base on before I start also diving in the application, because I'm going to use this. I'm going to put this in the chat for you all. So for those that maybe have never seen this before or saw this when we launched Mini about a year ago, there is this page that we put on ZBrush Central where you, as a community, were sharing models. We were putting models up. So I'm going to utilize this again today. I'm probably going to put the model that I'm going to make in front of you guys up here so you guys can grab it and probably make it better. So this is a great way. Mini allows you to upload a PNG or a GIF. And within that PNG and GIF is the actual model. So I wanted to start with this because I actually also want to share some models that I've actually pulled down from here just to give you guys first, especially those that maybe have never used Mini before. I want to take some time here, just quickly show some examples and things that are possible within Mini. And then, like I said, we're going to go through and make some. So I'm going to just open up some models here. So let me start with this. Yes, old Mr. J. Druss, Joseph Druss's model of a T-Rex. And again, all these models I'm pulling up were all done in Mini. I want to give people that maybe have never used Mini that are watching this stream right now just some ideas here of what you're going to be able to do and sculpt within Mini. So it's really a lot of fun to just sit here and just create. And then what I like, it's back to just, just pure sculpting, right? Which is always fun. When I love making something from nothing. I'm a big fan of like from a sphere or a cube, right? So we have that, or maybe even want to go, and some of you might not be aware of, but even something like this, right? You can pretty different. You've got like boulder or rock, which it's supposed to be a spider web, I would assume, from the back, right? So Jamie did this, but then all these legs coming off. This is a great example of showing what you can do in Mini and push this sculpting ability that we have in here, right? So this is just another example of another piece. Really cool piece. And again, I'm pulling these all down from that web page I just put up in there because I just wanted to give you guys some ideas here of things that we're going to be looking at. You can go also full anatomy, right? This is another anatomy study from Thomas. So this is a great piece by him. Really cool piece, right? You can see just what is possible in Mini is, you could do quite a bit in Mini. It's really awesome, the things. And then again, I'm going to be covering some new stuff that we've added. It's going to allow you guys to push the sculpting ability within ZBrushCore Mini even more. Okay, so that's a great piece by Thomas. I'm just going to show a couple examples here. Now we're going to get into something that almost is like, I would say almost like a diorama. So this is from Nacho, which is a jeweler, right? So Nacho's a guy that does jewelry. It's a really amazing piece. I love showing his work all the time. So, and it's just a different way to look. Like it's almost like subtractive sculpting, right? In a way to go at this. So the old way, you know, Renaissance way of taking a brick and then start subtracting out. So there's different ways to sculpt. And I think this one is a good example. I don't know if that's what he did, but it's definitely, I could see working on this model that way. So very cool piece, right? So it's got really now like a scene. It's not just a character. So then that also leads me to another piece that I think is a really great example of, you know, the things that you can do. So Kaz did this, and like it's two characters, right? And when we get going here, these artists, and what I'm pulling up, they're starting either from like a sphere or a block. That's it, right? So all these pieces are starting from something that simple, right? So it's really cool. Like this is a full-fledged, like, go ahead, print this out, right? And put it on a mantle, right? He could totally do that. Very, very nice piece for sure, right? And having the double characters. Again, I'm just trying to show the breadth of things that we can do, right? Here's another example here from Daisuke. So I think this is just a great example of what we're going to a little bit even get into today. Having that repeating pattern that he's done on his porcupine character here is something new to 2021 ZBrushCore Mini, right? So this is going to be fun for you all, especially those that we've already asked who's using Mini. This is, you're going to see how Daisuke was able to do something like this. And I think now too, you know, I'm a big hard surface fan guy. So our very own Scott also Clark did this piece, which I think shows just another great way of using Mini now. And again, this was really utilizing some of the new items in ZBrushCore Mini. Okay, but I don't want to just hold only on the new items that we're putting in 2021 here. I also want to just talk about using Mini in general as an artist, right? And then having the ability to create things like this. Okay, so this is a very cool way of looking at now the way to do Mini and creating something a little bit hard surface, which is great. And I've seen people have done hard surface like this, but those artists, you know, that have already done something hard surface in Mini, I think what we've added here is going to help them even more. So, and then for the stream, I made a little character for me here. So here's the guy that we're going to recreate. So I'm a big fan of like the like Gilman characters. So like, you know, Creature from Black Lagoon. I really love the one from Monster Squad. There's our first 80s reference. There we have it. I'm a big fan of that one. So I would say I like doing something like this, and I'll put this up there so you all can do what you want with it, destroy it, make it better, fishy, as Daisuke says, right? So I want to go through the process and have you all understand on what we're going to do again. So in Mini, you can only start with two ways in ZBrushCore Mini, right? So you either can start with a sphere, right? So I can double click here and we can load a sphere, right? Or I can load a block in here, which is, again, like kind of like I said, the giving that subtractive feel that we can do with this, right? So for that character that I did, I started obviously with the sphere. It just made more sense. If I'm trying to do something more, you know, humanoid-esque, where it's got a head and some shoulders and so forth and so on, it just makes sense to start with the sphere. So for me, I'm going to start with the move brush, okay? Because I see this as I've got a ball of clay, and I just want to start moving this around. I want some creation. I've got something in my head, and I just want to start going at it, right? And start making something. So I'm going to go with a really big brush size here, right? And then just start. I have symmetry on, of course. Now, what we're doing is we're just stretching, you know, out some kind of piece, right? To make something like this guy's mouth's got to come out like this. Now, I'm going to turn this on, and you'll see the mesh, right? What it's looking like right now. So what I'm going to do is actually smooth it out. So this is going to be new to you all for those that have used Mini. This is going to allow us now to even tessellate with smoothing ability. That way I can now just adjust, right? And I'm just adding more. So I'm going to stick with a very big brush size because I want big big movements. I think the beginning sculpt is so important. And a lot of us, a lot of you have done this as sculptors that are in this stream. I personally feel that first 20% is just so important to really land this, right? And I think this, as a person that also talks to a lot of artists and teachers, I think also maneuvering and looking around your model quickly and making sure you're looking at a review, I think is a really something that it takes time. And I think as an artist, we gotta get past the point of, okay, this really doesn't look like much right now, right? But it's going to. It's it's the beginning stage, and I think that's the hardest part. I think that I had as an artist was, okay, this doesn't look like anything right now, right? And what I'm doing now is I'm retessellating at the same time. So I'm just holding the shift key so I can actually kind of retessellate. And if I go the smaller brush size, you can see I can add more tessellation in areas. So in essence, tessellation, look at it as adding more clay, right? So it's just giving me more information there for me to sculpt on, because I want a little bit more information because now I want to put a neck on. So I'm going to say, all right, we got to move. So I got a general shape here. And what I'm going to do is use one of the new brushes. So we got 4 new brushes that are shipping with the ZBrushCore Mini now. And the first one I want to click on is this chisel shapes one. So this is going to allow you guys to pick any shape out of this brush that you want to use. So I want to use something like this barrel piece. And I'm going to use that as my neck. So I'm just going to draw out a neck. Okay. And you can see it's adding this shape. Now, the tessellation's also happening. In essence, we're adding clay as we draw out. And what's going to control that for us is our actual brush size. So right now, my brush size is quite large, right? So you can see the tessellation isn't very high, or we're not throwing enough clay at it, right? We're only got a little bit out of the box and put a little bit. We need like a chunk of clay. For those that have ever done real sculpting, like through clay or Sculpty or something, anything like that, right? So I'm going to drop my brush size down just so that when I go to draw this out, right, you can see I'm getting more tessellation now, or i.e., as I like to say, more clay, right? So my brush size, in essence, is going to help you control on this particular brush, and when we get to more of them here, what this is going to look like, right? So I'm just trying to block out real quick, right? So I don't really need anything crazy good, right? I'm just trying to get something that maybe is a neck driven, right, a little bit. So I'm going to switch to, I'm used to working like this. So I'm going to say, I don't need anything really dense. I'm going to say something more like that. That's good enough. Okay. And then now I'll just switch back to my move brush, right? I'll start smoothing this out, and I just start blocking out and throwing a torso in, and you'll see this is getting stretched, but now I can just kind of keep adding to this. So the only thing I'm using right now is the move brush, and also then just smoothing it out just so I can add more tessellation through there for us, right? So yeah, he needs some shoulders. He's not wimpy, he's a creature. He is Dracula's sidekick sometimes. I know in Monster Squad, he was Dracula's sidekick. That's a good one. If you haven't seen Monster Squad, it's a fun one. Go watch it. Go rent it. I think it was on one of, for those that have streaming services. I know at some point it was on the streaming service. So anyways, this is all I want to start doing, right? I want to start blocking out really quick and start thinking about where I want to put landing major parts of this character and this creature that I'm making, right? I'm a really big fan of using clay buildup to kind of build up upon the surface. This for me gives me the feel again of just laying down like strips of clay, but then I can just quickly start putting something that's maybe eye sockets, right? So you can see how I can start building up this surface and cutting into this. And by changing my brush size, I'm controlling, in essence, the detailing that I'm going to start putting on this particular piece, right? He's got to have an orbital bone, got to protect those eyes. Got to protect those eyes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start loading some iterations of my model, and we're going to go through it. I'm not going to sit there and sculpt everything verbatim. I want to show you some good things that I did using some of the new things and using the additional stuff that's already in here. So let's go with before I started adding details. So this is kind of where I got with my block out. He looks like a platypus. That's really what he's looking like, right? So I need to start, and this is again, I think, going back as what it's tough for us as artists to look at this and go, okay, what is this really looking like, right? And I've learned to just find some major bone landmarks, start working on that, make sure you got your proportions, your silhouettes down where you want it. Because again, that's what this ZBrushCore Mini is all about. It's just about being an artist on the computer and let's make some creations that we're thinking about in here, right? So then I'm going to say, well, you know, clay buildup is a great way to, you know, I can throw some eyes on here, throw an eyeball in here, start doing this, right? However, I'm gonna work backwards now, and what I'm gonna do is use another new brush, okay? So we first showed you the chisel shapes, and now there's chisel organic, okay? And then this brush is gonna allow us to do some more shapes and allow us to do some more elements in here. So there's a lot of other items in here, right? So i.e. right here, this animal eye, I think is gonna be a good one. So let's take a look at that and see how that looks. Yes, yes, but I want it symmetrically, of course. Yes, now we're talking. So I'm gonna go a little bit more detail, just so I capture more of what's in that brush. Something more like that, right? And then now, you know, I can smooth this out and then continue to work on this, you know, and now maybe I want to add a little bit of element in here. So I'm going to switch back to a different brush. I'm going to switch back to my clay buildup, right? And then just start putting a little bit eye in here. He's got to have a little bit of an eye in here, I think would be necessary. Something a little bit like this, just so he starts coming to life a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go back to this brush and I'm going to grab something that I really enjoyed using on this particular model. So it's like an animal fin. So you're going to see how easy we can just change what this guy is going to start looking like, right? Now you guys are starting to see what I did is not so impressive, right? It's just clicking out and dragging where maybe I'd want to do some, you know, fins like this. And then obviously maybe I want different sizes. That's a little weird, right? Something like that, maybe. But this is the beauty. I'm testing and seeing what I like. Okay, I like that one. Now he's looking like a fish man. Fish man, right? So there's a lot of shapes in here that we can definitely use. So there's different mouths, there's different eyes, and there's just different unique shapes. So I liked using this fungus shape just to add, you know, a different kind of element into those fins. Right? And then you just start looking what this is going to look like. And I find myself too looking at this, and often for me, I'll switch to like this flat material to kind of just get a gauge of my silhouette, right? Where I'm sitting at with this. I would recommend, that's kind of why we put this flat in there, giving it the ability to look at that silhouette and see where this is going. So remember, when I pulled this up, he really wasn't looking very cool at all. And now with a couple clicks of these new brushes, and having what we call VDMs, which is vector displacement meshes, this has given us the ability to click and drag out, right? So let's load to where I was at with mine. So let's load another iteration of him. Okay, so this is kind of where I started to go placing all those points, right? So you can see I didn't do anything really extreme to get to this point of him, all right? And now I want to start putting some teeth in right here. So again, looking at different shapes that we have here, right? So we've got 12 brushes total, and I'm going to go back to using this brush again, and I want to start using some teeth. So we got a lot of shapes. You know, if I want to, why wouldn't I, right? Want to put some kind of antenna in there. Yes. It's almost like he's got a nail through his head now, right? But obviously we can use these as antennas if I, you know, put on symmetry. Doesn't fit my character, but it just shows you the ability of this brush and what you guys are going to be able to do now once you get your hands on the new ZBrushCore Mini 2021. So for me, to make teeth, I'm just going to grab this cone, right? And obviously the teeth should not be the same size everywhere. So this is all I did for my teeth. I just grabbed this cone to start throwing some different size teeth. And I wanted, for my character, obviously, him to be a little bit menacing, you know, a little bit. So I didn't want just one row of teeth. I want kind of the shark way. And I think that's huge for me as an artist, too. I do a lot of looking at nature. There is some freaky, crazy stuff in nature as it is, right? So I definitely like to use that as a way to just get inspiration. So this were kind of this idea for my character to have multiple rows of teeth, and they should be different sizes and a little extreme, right? It really now starts bringing him to life, right? And again, that's the emphasis I think here of when you're working in sculpting, is sometimes simplicity really pushes the element a lot, right? And then ZBrushCore Mini for me is just straight up just creativity. Let's go. Like let's have a ball of clay. Let's just start sculpting. And now with the new additions of these brushes, it's really made a fun way for me to get going, right? So you guys get the idea here. You don't need every single tooth, right? But so yes, now he's scary. Ugh. Lisa needs braces moment for sure, Michael. I like it. Bring it. Right? So very fine sandpaper. I like that name. That's a cool name. So they're asking a great question. When is a great time to transition? So obviously they're asking when to go from core to the full version of ZBrush, or I like to call it just the pro version of ZBrush, let's say, because there's 3 tiers, right? You have what we're looking at right now is ZBrushCore Mini, right, which is a free download. So any one of you that are watching this stream for the first time, you've never seen this before, this is a free download, right? So you can go get ZBrushCore Mini right now. And then Sandpaper is using Core. I think the great point for you for transitioning, trying to go from, say, the Core to the Pro version would be if you're finding a cap on your creativity, the sense to, hey, I want to be able to maybe push the elements more, get a lot more details, really get a lot of really skin pores. And there's a lot more features in the full ZBrush that allows you to try some different experimentation. I would encourage you then to at least, maybe you can get the trial, give it a try, and then you'll see. But I think that's the best way for you to transition from Core to the full version. If you're having a lot of fun in Core, you're going to have even more fun in the full version. I guarantee you that, because then you're going to get your hands on even more features and be able to do even more with it. Okay, so, and then again, this is just me now just grabbing brushes. And again, the beauty of ZBrushCore Mini is there is no technical thing that I have to think about for this. And again, now I can smooth this back and have the ability to add even tessellation when I smooth. So the current version of ZBrushCore Mini does not add the tessellation when you smooth, and this version does, right? So this is kind of how I start blocking out my mouth. I got to give him some volume, give him some lips, and then I started throwing in some slash brush. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so when you start getting to this point, right, where you start now really honing in the character, and now we're really starting. We're not really blocking out so much as finding the major important parts of this character that I want to bring to life now, right? So what I think is another nice addition to 2021 is, it's nice to be able to switch to different materials here for sure. But what we've added now is the ability to have the real-time ambient inclusion. So you can see it's on, off. So here, let me just center this in here, right? On, off, right? And then now we've got an intensity slider, so I can bump this intensity all the way up to 100. And this is now just really going to help me see the depth of even the brush stroke I'm making, especially with me using this slash brush now. I can, that AO ability is really helping me visually see also how deep I'm really going, right? Because if I go really light, see, I'm not getting much AO, or for those that don't know what AO is, ambient occlusion. But if I go really deep, you can see how much darker that stroke looks. I'm not painting or anything, right? I'm just turning AO. So with that said, we can add some color. It would make sense for him to be some kind of green tint. Maybe probably something like this, right? So just a little bit of a green tint, right? Just a little bit of shaded green. So you can change your color here, right? I like to sculpt with like a little bit of a darker gray for me. And then now I have this ambient occlusion, right? So this is the process I started going. And you can see just in now with this stream and us talking, how much this character is coming to life just by a couple brush strokes. Okay, so ZBrushCore Mini does not export OBJs. There's none of that. You can only save a ZBrush project file, a ZBrush GIF, or PNG. But, well, there's an STL ability, which we're going to get to for the person I just saw it come through and ask. We'll get to that. All right, so let's continue on the journey here of watching me try and make something happen here, right? You know, before we do that, this is also something that I think was really cool to bring him to life as well. So we have other chisel brushes here, right? So there's things with horns. I wouldn't probably put a horn on him, but why not? Right? Maybe it's something, you know, it's my world. There. Right? Put some horns. Yes. Right? And then this one's got different, it's got scales. So maybe you want to use this to putting some scales around maybe the back here. Right? And start drawing these out different sizes. Right? So this one's drawing out a lot of scales. Then you have a scale that's a little bit different. I think this is important too. If you look at nature, to try and make it transition a little bit and not having the same repeating, right? I'm a big fan of looking at this and not just grabbing an image. So that's kind of why I like these brushes. I'm a fan of these brushes, right? And then there's a Chisel 3D, which is going to have some more shapes, dog nose and things like that. And there's other noses, and there's things like, I don't know why, but like a cool creature mouth, right? So these 4 brushes are all working the same. It's going to allow us to click and drag, right? So then they each have their own number of brushes in them. So this one has 85. This one's got 29, and then these two have 17. So that means there's 85 things in here that you can play with, different eyes, different nose. It really opens up our creativity. Like, this was a cool nose of a monkey that I found. That was a really cool type of nose, right? So it's fun to just sit there and drag out and see what you get. Now, you know, if I decide like this, I decided at one point I want a big fin up here on the top. And then I said, okay, I want another one maybe going around in here, right? Something like this. Okay, and then I started doing something like that, right? Now, of course, we can undo and then redraw, okay? Now, what's nice about this, besides just undoing and redrawing, I want to open up a different version of him now. And let's see, before this one, here we go. Right, so here's kind of where I was just at, where I've now started, as you can see, I started putting more bony landmarks so that this has structure into it, right? And then this was just simple using clay buildup to start just landing some things in here. Now, this particular model has gotten to a point where we've reached the high level of sculpting that we allow in ZBrushCore Mini, so we can reduce this. So I wanted to highlight this. So as you guys are making, ZBrushCore Mini has the ability, in essence, to, it's not really a remesh, it's a decimation, okay? And then there are 3 levels of decimation. So once you reach a number, you're gonna say, I'm gonna decimate this now, but I don't really lose anything at all, right? This decimation that's built into ZBrushCore Mini is quite powerful, and I'm not really losing the character, right? All the silhouette's still there, but I've reduced now. I was sitting around 850, now I'm sitting at like 300, right? So the 2 numbers right here allow us to even decimate further down. As you scroll over, you can choose the number. So since this is sitting at 300, I can go all the way down to the low, okay? And that's gonna, in essence, reduce again this particular model back down, and now I'm sitting around the 150,000 active points, as you can see up here. And then now, right? So now my clay buildup, and then this is all I started doing, just putting some bone structure. So this would make sense when you're working on a model like that, right? I think this is really important part of sculpting. And I think this is what's great about Mini. It's a great way to get in, just get on a computer and start digitally going. And I know some of us as artists, you know, like me, I actually came more from a 2D, like I drew a lot as a kid. I did more drawing than playing with clay. Don't get me wrong, you know, the Play-Doh was always a friend of mine, and Legos, oh, Legos for sure. But I drew a lot, and I think this ZBrush gave me the ability to transition really easily into having like a ball of clay on a computer. And because I'm using like a tablet or a Cintiq, I get that feeling of drawing, right? And then it's freedom to start going at this. Okay, so what I was bringing up here too is when we're drawing things out, I got obviously the ability to undo. But what's going to be very nice about this now is, let's say, all right, you know what, I don't really care for the eyes anymore, right? So obviously we can smooth it down, right? And if I let go, look up here, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? I can do this. So there's two different smooths, right? So I can smooth, right? Which is me just holding the shift key right now, and I'm just smoothing, 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 smoothing. And my pencil, you see how it's kind of getting flat. You see how I'm getting like, which actually looks pretty cool for this. I might go update mine actually after this. I kind of like that. There, happy little mistakes. God, Ross, he never stops. He never stops. He just keeps bringing it to me, right? So what you guys can also do is let go of your shift key. So if you hear me now fingering and see my hand, my hand's not on the keyboard. So you can see I'm still smoothing in the same area, but it's not becoming flat, right? It's kind of more of a relaxation and it's got a little bit of an inflate happening in there, right? So it's not just sitting there and pushing. I like to say it as if I was Superman, right? If I'm going to smooth out a wall, I can push the wall at the same time, right? I'm doing kind of this and moving my hands. If I wasn't, the other alternate smoothing is letting go of the shift key. It's more of like a relaxation. Like I can't move the wall and I'm just relaxing along the surface in essence, right? So that's kind of the way I like to describe this. So what's nice about this is if I've changed my mind up about this, what's really, really powerful is I can just, well, instead of undoing, right? Because I did these eyes like way in the beginning, right? But now I have the ability, I can just kind of just quickly get rid of the eyes just by, just using clay buildup to kind of dig in again, right? And then just smoothing out. And now I've gotten rid of those eyes, right? And now I can say, okay, let's try something out. Let's try some different eyes. So let's go back to this brush. And then there's a bunch of different eyes in here to try. Like this one could be pretty cool. So let's try this one out. Like maybe I want more of that look, right? That completely looks different now as a character. And then again, what's nice about this is we can just get rid of it if I don't like it, right? And then try a different. I don't necessarily need to do an undo. Oh. Now this is going more alien, I think, more than anything now. And remember, the brush size is controlling things for us. So if I go with a lower brush size and start drawing out, you'll get something like like this, right? So this is also what I really like. Oh, let's give him like a human-esque, more of an eye, right? I don't know what I want maybe until I try. So you don't have to just sit here and undo. You can sit and sculpt through now and like switch to, and again, I love using a clay buildup. Go with a big brush size. So I'm going to get really big brush strokes, really big in essence polygons, and completely change this face as much as I want to, right? This is really nice. And maybe, looking at this, maybe let's go a little different in here and now maybe flatten this out a little bit. So the H polish brush is a great way to kind of flatten the surface. So this is like a sculpting brush for hard surface more than anything. So I can create some nice strokes in here. And then again, I'm transitioning right now from using this brush and then smoothing, because maybe I want to have some more of like a linear kind of, or like line shape in here. Or maybe you're going to do a stylized character, right? Maybe like here, I want to accent this bone in here a little bit more. Just hit it with this brush just a little bit and then smooth it back, right? So just having different variations here is really good. So let's just, I just want it for fun. Let's throw a human eye, more human on him like this. Oh, let's go to the other side. Right? Even that, though it's a more human eye, it's still kind of working a little bit. Not really. I think would be the funny thing is throwing an actual human ear on him would be the funny thing. Yes! It's my world! Right? And then throw a horn on this. Now maybe, this is reminding me of the Conan the Barbarian. I don't know if it was Conan the Barbarian, if you guys have seen the 80s, or Conan the Destroyer. I think it was a Destroyer, that big creature that get down, I'll get down. Schwarzenegger fights at the end. That's where this thing's starting to go for me, right? So to the question too that's coming through about using a tablet or Cintiq, I'm currently using a tablet right now. It's really a personal preference. I usually use Cintiqs. I love being able to, and I think that's going back, like I said, I come more from when I was a child doing a lot of drawing and, you know, sitting with a paper and pencil. The Cintiq gives me that feeling again. So I think it's really a personal preference. I enjoy using a Cintiq. All right, so you guys get the idea here. It's not just about undoing your creations. It's about having the ability now within the ZBrushCore Mini 2021 to just let's erase and let's redo. Erase and redo, even something that I've done a long time ago within the sculpt. Really, really nice ability. Okay, so let's take a look at something else. Now let's get him where I kind of have details at the top, right? And I've got no details on the bottom. So I kind of want to show how easy it was for me adding like this pattern through here, okay? And again, this is me. I think this is also a benefit. This is a great challenge for all of you that are even using ZBrushCore or ZBrush. Try looking at things a little bit different. I like to go back, and since I'm an 80s fan, the way they'd have to do this was they would have to sit there, hand sculpt these scales or things like that, right? Or they'd use like a sponge to stamp and some other techniques. So I like thinking sculpturally, how can I maybe make a pattern that is a little bit more by hand? Okay, so I want to show a little bit of how I did this because it's actually quite simple. And again, there's multiple ways. I like to use the clay buildup and just start and then smooth, start and then smooth, okay? But seeing now that I have the ability to click and drag out details here, I'm going back to this chisel shape. And this is just showing you guys that this chisel shape, even though the model I showed by Scott, that was really hard surface, I'm showing you ways of thinking about this more in an organic sense and how great it is to be able to just now have a shape, right? And then thinking about this different. So I'm gonna go to this shape right here, this ellipse, right? So when I'm gonna go a little bit smaller, so when I do it, this is what I'm getting on the character, right? So I don't want this ellipse shape to push out this far, okay, because I kind of want to use it as a bump pattern. And I'm going to go a little bit bigger because I don't really need a ton of detailing for this. I kind of just want some kind of nice pattern which is going to break up, right? And especially when we start throwing on my now ambient occlusion, right? My real-time ambient occlusion, now you can see what it's on again and it's off again. So you can see the difference in there that my eye is probably going to catch things a lot better now, right? So with this selected, and this is going to be for any one of these brushes, I'm going to knock my Z intensity down actually. I'm going to put it down in like the 20s, and now you can see it's kind of more creating like a flat little bumped surface, right? So this is how I started doing that pattern, right? I just started drawing out different sizes of this because I just wanted to have, you know, when you're pulling away, I want to have some nice subtleness happening in there so you could tell this is some kind of obviously Gilman type creature that's living underneath the water but maybe comes on land as well, right? So this is just again thinking more like in a sculptural sense. And then yeah, this might be, you know, a little bit more time, but I actually like this. And I think to that person that asked, this is a great example of transitioning from ZBrushCore Mini to Core and then to full ZBrush, because then obviously with Mini there's only so much you're going to be able to do because it's really about let's just create, right? And then you maybe want some new features that it gives you the ability, like something like a spotlight in the full version to load an image and sculpt with it, right? This is me just dragging now, right? Again and again and again. Now once I have this pattern starting to go, right, using the same brush, I want to add some more element to him, okay? So then this is just upping the intensity so that I can get like a little bit higher bumps now, right? So just have a variation in here, and now that since the head's completely done, right, you can really just start adding a couple more bumps, right? And then when you get close to, say, you know, something like this, when I'm getting close to the eyelids, and let's say I'm going to add some more clay here by smoothing a little bit, right? And again, if you want to, you can drop your Z intensity all the way down to the smooth, right? And here's a little trick for you all. Look at that. So what I'm doing is I'm adding, like I like to call it, you guys know me now, clay, right? But it's really tessellation that I'm adding, but I'm now not changing the silhouette at all. There's no silhouette change happening. It's just more polygons in essence, right? Being added, because while I was holding the shift key, I turned my Z intensity all the way down to 0, right? So you can see, just if you just start thinking sculpturally, what you're going to be able to do here, there's a lot, right? You got to think a little bit about playing with some of these settings a little bit, and like say, yeah, I want to go maybe about that, and then now start adding some other little, and it's just now adding accent pieces. And I think what's key for something like this, you know, when I'm getting closer down to something around the eyes, like these little bumps, they should be little. They should be a lot smaller. They shouldn't be really big, right? They shouldn't be large like that. They should be tiny. And I think this is all part of the journey of sculpting and creating. Think about that, because you can see that's starting to pop a little bit more for us, right? And really allowing me to pull back and see how that's looking. And then, right, we have my AO. So there's with the AO off again and the AO on. And you can see this is, and then I can hold the Alt key if I want, and maybe I want that now as an eye. I want to do it over here as well, right? Like that's pretty cool. Like it's an experiment that we're trying out here, right? So, and then this is maybe grabbing this one, and I'm holding the Alt key. That's all I'm doing. And now pushing that in all the way, and then pushing all this in all the way. And then now, like you see, like eyes are so important, I think, in a sculpt. That is standing out now, right? When we pull back and we're looking at that, my eye is going to his eyes in that central mouth area now, right? It's really gravitating towards that. I think the balance of between, to your question, the balance of fine detail with polygon limits is don't get wrapped up in trying to get the intricate fine details. And then don't forget, right? I just showed you guys several ways. You can either one-click solution drop the polygon count within ZBrushCore Mini here, or like I just did with the smoothing brush, change your polygon counts, right? You got to think about, like if I'm never going to show the back of him, then I don't need a lot of polygons here in the back, right? I think where you got to be looking at when you're, and this, I think this goes for all ZBrushes across the board. When you're looking at details, you don't really need to concern yourself with, okay, what's my details? Unless when I'm drawing out right now, I'm not getting what I want, then that is, you know, that for me is the trigger. Oh, okay, I need more detail. So in this case, for the Mini, I need to make maybe my brush size a little bit smaller, so I'm going to get more detail when I drag this out, right? Or in this case, I don't really need that much to do what I'm doing, so I'm just going to do a little bit bigger, right? Because why add all that polygon for this? Because again, it's going to be this far away, right? And I think that is the balance you got to look for. You got to look at understanding to you, which we're going to get to in a minute. What are you trying to do at the end of this as an artist? How are you trying to share it in essence, right? Are you trying to put this up on ZBrush Central so people can see it? Or in this case, are you going to want to 3D print it? And elements like this. So we've added some other things in here for you all as well, okay? So besides adding the ambient occlusion in here, and besides adding also the VDMs in here, you know, sharing your model has become important, right? So let's load, let's load my final version here, so we can at least have a final version of him. So let me, Grim, here's the final. Okay, so I'm like, all right, I like this, we're done. Right, so here's the piece I did. And again, this is just on ZBrushCore Mini, right? And it's about, if you remember where I started, it was about a process for me, and not getting too wrapped into that question. There's a point where the details will come. Don't get too wrapped into the beginning when you're trying to sculpt, Okay, so hopefully that helps you understand. So yes, whatever's in ZBrushCore Mini, okay, is going to be also in the full version. However, right now, ZBrushCore Mini is getting 2 brand new brushes that we made. So these 2 of these brushes are not available in the full version. And number 2, to get a little technical with everybody, VDMs now, for those that are using the full version of ZBrush, will now be able to have used with Sculptress Pro. Okay, so since the question was asked, okay, so there'll be an update coming down the pipeline where the full version of ZBrush will have the 2 new VDMs and will give you the ability to use VDMs with Sculptress Pro, right? So, okay, so back to this thing about sharing, and you know, I'm happy with the piece. I'm excited. I want people to share. Okay, number 1, do I want an ambient occlusion on it? I think yes. Then I find like the color. I wouldn't go too dark, but I like to have a little bit of some shade in there, some darkness, and I like using the madcap gray. So that looks good. So now how do I want to share this? We've now given there's 3 ways to share this model with the community, right? So we can either, and that's what these 3 buttons are here. Okay, so I can either share by an image, so I export an image, and then I'm gonna call this the, I don't know, well, let me share this. Let's say, yeah, Gil, man. All right, and save that. And then it'll pop this open, and you can actually crop in here if you want to, right? So maybe I want to crop different ways. You can have a quality, crop to the left, right? So I have this ability, and then I hit OK, and then there, that's a saved image. So here, if I pull it up now, let's see if I, where did I put it? No, I think I put it in here. There it is. Right, so let me get it. So there's my image, right? And then we're adding this at the bottom so people know that you did this in ZBrushCore Mini. Because remember, those models I pulled up in the beginning, if you look at a lot of those, you'd be like, no way that was done in ZBrushCore Mini. There was so much there, right? This is, again, just landing the point. There is a lot you can do. If you just go down and start sculpting again and be in a creative process, you'll be surprised what you're going to be able to get with ZBrushCore Mini. And again, this is a free download, right? So you can go get this whenever you want, right? So again, that's an image. And then you have the ability, well, I want to 3D print this. So I can export this, right? And then this will be an OBJ, right? And then now I can save this out. And then now, sorry, I know I said STL previously, but I was incorrect. Used to using the full version of ZBrush. So this is an OBJ, okay? Okay, so this is going to allow me, in essence, to send out for print. So you can export an OBJ in this sense, right? So now we have a way sharing our model with a image, sharing our model like an OBJ, okay? And now also what we're going to be able to do is, you know, I've worked tirelessly. I've worked really hard on this guy. Right, so just instead of just sharing images, you know, the profile, the back, 3/4, and I think something else that's really nice that I find myself using, especially at the point of when I want to share with people, is I use this here, right? So this is just a way for you guys to, this does 2 things for us. I think this is probably important for all of us when we start off. I'll start off something again so you guys can really get the grasp of this too in a minute. So you can see this is snapping by 3/4 views. So then you can just render out things like this. But then obviously you can switch between views here by clicking on these. So the blue is your front and back. The green is up and down, or top and bottom. And then this is your profiles left and right, right? And then having that, I would probably just position this where I want it. I want to say, I'm going to use this to kind of give that 3/4. Okay, I like that. I'm going to go about that big. Okay, right in here, right around there. And now I'm just going to click turntable. Okay, and then what ZBrush is going to do is make a turntable. Now this is telling you that the full version of ZBrush has a lot of controls with the turntable. So you can do this in ZBrush Core, and you can do this in ZBrush, okay? So with ZBrush Core Mini 2021, we've added this now. So now it's just telling you that you can do that, and you can see it's going to automatically rotate my model for me, Okay, and then it's automatically going to create a movie file for me. So I'm going to save this, and I'll let it now render it out. Okay, and then now I've got a model in here that I can have, right? And then I can, well, maybe I want a different view, right? Maybe I want something more like, I don't know, like this instead. And then you just click turntable again, and then you can see it's just going to do another turntable, and then it's automatically going to create a new movie file for us, right? And you can see making another movie file. And so, of course, for us then, let me pull this up, and let me open this so you guys can see. Okay, and then there you go. Right? So now I've got this file that I can share with anybody. Right? So not only can I share an image or the physical file as an OBJ, I can also share a turntable. Now, when you are working within ZBrushCore Mini, ZBrush, or ZBrushCore, either one of the applications, there's multiple ways to share a file, right? And we were talking about, in the very beginning of this, I was talking about putting it up on our ZBrush Central website, of course, right? So I want to touch base then, of course, on sharing this, because that's what this is all about now. We've already got 3 ways to share our model: image, OBJ, and turntable. So we can save this out now, okay? And then this is going to save, right? So I've got different iterations, as you can see, of this, and now I can just save this as either a ZPR, which is a ZBrush format, and then we've made a GIF and PNG that we called iMage 3D, which is in essence, it's not just a GIF or a PNG, it actually has the file information stored in the file, okay? So when you do a GIF, it's gonna allow us to upload a GIF, and then the 3D model itself is in the GIF. So if I look at this again, right? So I now have made a GIF of it right here, okay? And then of course the other way would be to save this out, would be also as a PNG. And then that one, I'm bringing these up because they're gonna look different when you look at them, right? So you can save out a PNG as well, right? And then now, see this here's the PNG, it's gonna have like a snowy look to it. And then here is that, right? And then there's the GIF, right? So that's a great way for those of you that are going to be getting in the ZBrushCore Mini, and this is maybe something that you've watching here in the stream and you're liking the creation process. It's just another way of doing this, okay? Okay, so I see, Maria, that your question has been answered for you as well, okay? So again, there is multiple ways to start in here. Like me, I started with this, okay? But you could start with a sphere, but I think it's also fun to start with a block, right? And then you can see I'm in symmetry, and then for me, clay buildup. This is where I think it said the subtractive idea, right? Where you start with this and just start making something out of this, and then you can smooth. And then this has got a nice little noise on here just to give it like a texturing. And when I say texturing, I'm not talking about a color texture. I'm talking about like a surface texturing, right? And this is going to be maybe some other creature. Switch the move, start pulling on this, and just make some other creature coming out of this. Yes. And then another great brush is Snake Hook. All right, so maybe have some kind of arms coming off this right through here. And yes, yes, I'm making art. Be something, be something, right? Something like this, maybe go a little bit longer. So this is now Snake Hook, which is really allowing me to push the topology around, right? And then again, I can smooth it, right? And figure out what I want to do with this and completely make a new character. And then let's go back to some of our new brushes that are in here, right? Maybe let's start again. Maybe I do want to throw that fin on there, right? It's just going to be another creature. But maybe there's other things, right? There's an anime mouth, and I'm going to use this as like kind of like some kind of gills. I'm using anime mouth maybe, right? There's a lot of stuff to choose. I really like the fungus stuff is a great way to just add some kind of new element to here, right? Now it's starting to look like some whale thing creature. So the point here is I can start with either the sphere or this, right? And then again, now these brushes, like you can even grab a full head here, right? This has got a shape, a head shape in it, right? So there's a lot of ways to go about this. Maybe this is going to be some kind of more like a tiger shark looking thing. Something more like this, right? And then now I smooth that out, maybe smooth that out a little bit more. So you can see these brushes now are going to allow you all to really have a quick way of making something, right? And just trying out what works, what doesn't work for you. And then there's just so many stuff in here. Like there's a koala nose, right? So this, again, is something that's going to be in ZBrushCore Mini 2021. So back to looking at, again, uploading and sharing this, right? Is looking at, okay, I want to share this model. So again, I want to pull up that piece that we did again. I want to go into that. I'm going to share this link again with you all. So let me see. I'm going to put it in the, hold on, I got to get to that chat again. Right? Right? And then, of course, yes, to your question, ZBrushCore Mini is a free download, right? Free to explore. Okay, so again, I'm looking at now this posting in here, right? To here, I'm going to put it up in here. Let's put it in here. Okay, so this thread that I just put again in the chat is where a lot of artists have been sharing. Again, this is where I went and got a lot of the pieces, right? Okay, to go through in here, right? So I would recommend going through here, right, and seeing just some models. Everyone was here sharing models, which was really great way to see stuff shared. And these are, again, like the GIFs and the PNGs, right, that people are sharing. So you can download them and start from what an artist already started from, right? And as far as the Cajun Beauty, as far as courses and beginners, I think a great place to go would be actually on our YouTube channel. So here we have, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is, I think if I remember, I always don't get this wrong. Let's see. Is in here is our streamers just did like a whole bunch of streams using ZBrushCore Mini, right? So right now they're doing a challenge where they're doing only subtractive sculpts. In essence, like taking some brick, right, and then going like I just did with that brick, going subtractive with it, right? So there's a lot of streams in here, and they just recently did a bunch of stuff with Mini using only ZBrushCore Mini. Okay, but then there's all these videos to get help with. This is also obviously where you're at right now, is live on a daily basis here. So I'll put that in as well. So this is a great spot for you to go and get some free tutorials since you're asking. All right. So it's a great spot for you to get this. And then, of course, there are other avenues besides the YouTube. If you go to Pixologic.com, since you asked the question, I think it's a great question for all of you to know. Obviously, you go to Pixologic.com. All right. So over here in the top, there's different ways, right? You can learn ZBrush. So there's free Z Classroom training here. And there's 3 third parties. You can find about school. You can get the documentation in here. Right, so you can go to here in a free classroom. You can even create an account here for yourself. So you can come back and the videos will stop where you left them, and you can come back and continue on from there. So you can log in this way. So something, since you're asking, like this getting started section would be really good for you. And you can see each one of them have multiple videos. This particular one has 12 videos in it. And a lot of these videos are like just short, sweet, to the point. So this is a great spot for you also to go and get help. And then, of course, going to ZBrushCentral.com, right, is another great location. I can't tell you how much help I got on this page. You know, back in the day, I used to just come on here and put up my sculpts and go, please help me, right? And then artists would come by and give me suggestions and things like that. And then it'd be a great help. This is just another person looking at your piece, right? And you'll be able to catch that. So hopefully that helps. There's multiple locations for you to go. You can also, at any point in time, since you're saying you're brand new to this, here I'm going to put in also our support page. Okay, there you can go to that page, and because you're with me right now and we're all friends now, here's my email address. So if there's something else that you want to get into this now and start jumping into this, by all means feel free to email me, and I would be happy to direct you in a location of where you might want to go, right? And be able to get that, right? Okay, and again, this will be a great way to start and going through this and going through. And then, of course, there is a web page just for ZBrush Core as well. So if you just put in your Google ZBrushCore.com, yeah, I'll put that URL as well in there for you, since you might not be aware of that, and there might be a lot of people that aren't aware of this. So here's that URL. So there's a great way for you to get a lot of resources. Okay. So again, ZBrushCore Mini is really a fantastic way. Just let's get going. Let's get creative. Let's just start with a sphere or a cube, and then let's just grab a move brush and start creating something and going at it, right? So it's really a lot of fun to just sit here and start just coming up with a whole new character and creature. And then now with 2021 having the ability to quickly, you know, change in essence the level of, oh yeah, look at that, that's different, right? Of what I'm gonna maybe I'm gonna have a big forehead, double forehead kind of guy happening through here, right? And just creating some volume in here. Got a little bit smaller brush size so I can get a little bit more clay in here. And this is why you want to be changing that. So, and then now for your question about sculpting hard surface, you can either use your H polish now, and you can see this brush will just start flattening the surface, right? So I can start just quickly blocking out some shape in here. So this would be a brush you'd want to start using. You can sculpt along, maybe I want a whole direction there, and then when it gets close to the other edge, you see it's trying to maintain that edge. And again, this is about the brush size. So if I go with the smaller brush size, you can see that's going to get a little bit more sharp in there. Okay, so you start doing something like this, that's going to be, I don't know, some kind of helmet piece. But now, right, you have the ability to not just do this, we can go to that shape piece and start using these shape pieces to maybe hold the Alt key and do something like that, and then maybe go smaller and pull it out, something like this, do something like that, right? And then you got all these shapes now to start messing with, to kind of, and I'm going to up my intensity some more now all the way and start really going at this, right? And you can see, to your question, this brush is now going to give you a pretty cool ability to really start messing around with some hard surface ideas and maybe put some organic thought into this too. I don't know why he wants some nasal things in there. Nah, I don't like that. Right, and I think this is the beauty, is that it's just a creation process, right? Then it's just me figuring out, like, see, that's a lot better. That's keeping a little bit more to like a hard surface look, and then maybe redrawing that out. So then I got this in there, right? And you can see, yeah, let's throw maybe this little antenna. Maybe I want to go a lot smaller. You know, it's a lot of fun to just sit here and just mess with some shapes, try some stuff out, see what's working, see what's not working, right? And then, again, I'm holding the Alt key to push in, and then if I like something like that, if I'm not holding the Alt key, it's going to push out. Right? And we're just quickly dragging out using all these shapes now that we have at our disposal in the new version of ZBrushCore Mini. So hopefully that answers your question. There's a lot here to do now, right? Well, there always has been, but by adding these abilities with these 4 brushes, it really opens some things up even more for you all. Fuller and a lot of it. Okay, I'm just reading, just reading through what you guys are saying. Okay, so with that said, right, you guys are going to want ZBrushCore Mini, of course. Again, it's a free download, but you guys are going to be able to get this newest version today. Okay, so today you'll be able to download ZBrushCore Mini 2021.6.5. So currently ZBrushCore Mini is at 2020. So the new version is going to be 2021.6.5. So you guys are going to be able to download that today. All right, so you're going to want to take advantage of that and be able to launch that again. So you want to go to our page and keep an eye on this. So again, I will pull up where you can go and take a look at this. So let me just load it through here, right? So I'm just getting to the main page, right? So you'll want to go on Pixologic.com to get any information that you guys have. So let me, sorry, I gotta get to the screen with again. So you want to jump on here, Pixologic.com. This is going to be live today. You guys will be able to download it. For those that have already currently been using ZBrushCore Mini 2020, this version is just going to be a full installer. So you could have both 2020 and 2021 on your system. It's not going to matter. They're not going to conflict with each other, but if you're going to use 2021 and you don't really need to keep 2020, I get that a lot sometimes. People ask, do I need to keep the old version? You don't. You can just get this newer version today and be able to use that. Okay, so you'll be able to download today this version that I've been showing you, start sharing. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys share that well, DiceK is already telling you guys it's already live. You can go get it now. DiceK, can you share the link for them for me, please, so that they can go get that download right now? It's live right now, so you guys can get this version right now. Okay. So that's all. That's it for me today. That was just a walkthrough of using like ZBrushCore Mini as a way to just sit here and create, showing you multiple ways to share, showing you ways to get different ideas, whether it be organic or now even hard surface type of ideas. I'm looking forward to see what you guys all do with the new update here, the ZBrushCore Mini. For those of you who have never used ZBrush at all, here's a great opportunity to get in, get this. It's free for everyone to download, free to create. Share those. Again, I'd love to see what you all are doing on that page. Again, I will share it one more time. I will upload mine right now to it. So let me go back. I'm just running through multiple programs, so I gotta make sure I click the right one. So again, please put your stuff up there. It'd be awesome to see what you've all created. And share again, if you don't want to share the model, I completely understand, but maybe a turntable or an image would be cool to see what you've all been doing. Okay, so if you're already a registered user of ZBrushCore Mini, you can just go to your My Licenses page. If you guys have never registered with us at all, everything's going to be through one page, and then I will put that in the URL for you as well. And this is where you're going to always get your license information and downloads as well. Licenses. So you want to use that URL to be able to go and get in there. So let me just double check before we call this done, is make sure I didn't miss anything in the questions that came through. I know DiceK has been here with us, who is a member of our team, and I there's some other people here with also working with you guys. So I thank you all for taking the last hour here about. Okay. And hopefully you guys have got inspired maybe a little bit to sit here and just create. I challenge you all to download this new version of Mini and then just challenge yourself, start from a sphere and just create. Just find maybe some kind of character or creature that you've got in your head and then just go. It's really a lot of fun to work in this way because it's, you know, ability to just sit there and sculpt and figure out where you're trying to go. Like I had a lot of fun building that little Gilman type characters, right? So it was a lot of fun for me. So thank you all again for watching. I'm Paul Gabriel with Pixologic. Go get the newest ZBrushCore Mini 2021. It's been a pleasure. Please tune in at any time to watch us here on this channel. So our ZBrushLive.com is where all streams take place, not just by us, but we've got a great list of artists streaming on this channel on a daily basis. Please tune in, continue to watch us. If you're on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell so you know when we're going live. If you're watching on Twitch, we always have the recordings there as well, so you can watch the recordings on YouTube or Twitch. So please come by and see. Again, it's daily live, and we got artists from around the world, so it's not just me sitting here making bad jokes. So thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day.